and into America to some of the most iconic mountain bike tracks in the world. We are bringing you an access all areas pass, taking you into the pits, onto the track, and behind the scenes. Anything that happens here, you're going to know about it first. So welcome to day 2 at NOVÉ MÉSTO. And today it's all about the under 23s. The men start at 3 o'clock and then it's the women at 5, taking on the full cross-country Olympic distance. And we're building up this weekend to Sunday. The men and women's elite are tomorrow, 11:30 the women, 3 o'clock the men. But the weekend started yesterday, as of course it did. Here's what happened on Friday.
The first UCI mountain bike cross-country short track World Cup of 2023 is go. Oh, a crash right in the middle of the pack. Keller moves to the front and this could be ominous. You can see now Richards taking control of this one at the front.
Last lap.
Keller digs deep. Steger beside her. Who's going to get it as they come to the line? And it's Laura Steger from Alessandra Keller. What a race car. And they're off.
It's high speed.
They're all still together. It's all still to play for. And it's hard to pick a winner amongst them. Oh, there's a crash for Halloway. And look who's in second place now. It's Tom Pidcock. Free abreast into the last corner almost. Pidcock digs deep. Schwarzbach digs deep. Gaze digs deep. Tom Pidcock takes the win in the Czech Republic.
What a night that was. We had an amazing time here at the iconic biathlon track in NOVÉ MÉSTO, which you can see is looking fairly bright and shiny today. No sign of the rain that we experienced yesterday. And we're here in a very, very busy warm-up area as the under-23s get ready to get on out there. And joining us today, who better than to chat to you about all of this? First up, we've got your friend of mine, Bart Brentjens, back again. We didn't scare you off, Bart.
No, I'm ready for the next round. Under 23 races today, cross-country on Olympic discipline on the full course, and it will be a lot of excitement today.
It's going to be tough, and your commentary has been a real highlight for everybody so far. You've been enjoying it?
Yes, it was great, the short track, what we have seen so far. But today it will be even better.
It's going to be even better, and partly because we've also got alongside us Martin Vidal. Good to have you with us. How are you doing, Martin?
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. It's such a nice race here. It's nice to be here outside the race, like look a little bit more. So
you're going to be chilling with us. You're just going to be chilling because, of course.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice race. I think these guys are very hungry. So yeah, looking forward.
You made the step up, of course, from under 23s to elite. So what's so different about this race today? What's different in the kind of vibe that these races will be experiencing?
I think everyone can win here. So nobody is like under the mirror too much. So it's like a surprise box. Everyone can win here, so that's what it makes it so nice. So yeah, I don't know who's gonna win, but for sure the guys are very hungry.
Nice one.
What's your favorite? You can tell us.
My favorite? I don't know. We raced a lot like last year, but I think for this track, Carter Woods will be a great contender. He's pretty smooth. He comes from Canada, a lot of woods and technical section, so I think that guy is gonna be very strong, and he has also a little bit of experience in his last year, U23.
Nice one. Okay, well, some of our team did pick Carter Woods. We'll come on to that in a sec. Just a quick word, Bart, on the course, of course, because we are doing Olympic distance cross-country today.
Yeah, it means a mass start all together, all the riders together, a 4 kilometers course, a lot of technical climbs. This course here has a lot of routes, very technical terrain, but also the descents are very fast. Not that much time to recover. A lot of climbing as well here on this course. So plenty of things for these riders.
And who do we think, of all of your contenders, but just to pick one out, will be the one who will deal with this best?
The Danish guy who finished third.
Oliver Solvay.
Oliver Solvay from Denmark. He showed his strength already in the beginning of this season, and that's my favorite for today.
You feel like he's just got the strength to do this, right? And what about Riley Amos? He's another contender we've been talking about.
Yeah, he's also pretty strong. I think he also is really hungry because last year He maybe had a bad luck at the beginning of the year, but at the end he always very strong. We raced actually at the beginning of the year in Puerto Rico, so he was pretty strong too. He's very fast. I think he needs to keep it chill at the beginning, but if he goes on the last lap on the front, he can really go for it. So I think he's very hungry.
All right, well, great stuff, because we can, in fact, now hear from Riley Amos as he's with our reporter, Josh Colson.
Riley, that was a violent way to start the weekend with the short track. A great result. How does that prep you for today's cross country?
Yeah, it feels really good. Definitely a great result. First loser, though. And, I mean, lets you know the body's where it needs to be. Gets the mind clear that it's you have everything you need to perform. So try and go one better today.
Is it a different strategy having 2 start loops and then 5 race laps? Or is it just same strategy across the board?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think 1 or 2 start loops changes much. Maybe there's be a little more hesitancy to get into the single track first if there's only one. But with this field, this many riders, all young, really strong guys, like, it's no mercy. Like, that first lap's going to be just as fast as if it was just one. So,
will it be a matter of wearing people down or just picking the right time to attack?
I don't know. It's really just kind of play out what the group does. Make sure, hopefully, to make that front group early and feel out where everyone's at. It's the first XCO of the season. Obviously, you can only go off of how well the guys are riding in the short track, but no concrete plan yet. Just play it out and be patient.
Bit of weather on the cards, bit of rain throughout the day. Is there any major bike setup changes to accommodate for the slippery routes, or you good to go?
I mean, I didn't ride the track today. Just looking at what I've seen, it doesn't seem like the rain affected much. Maybe a little bit slickness on the routes, but I didn't change anything versus how I would set it up for the dry. So,
have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Riley Amos there, building up to his race today in the under-23s, but there's plenty more people we want to think about. One of them, Adrian Burkis, of course, won on Thursday, right? What do you make of him?
Yeah, Adrian is actually crazy fast. He's been racing on the road a lot, so he knows about tactics. He's also a very talented rider. He can really be smooth on these routes. You really need to be smooth and know how to attack, so I think he's a pretty good contender for today.
Talk to me about that. Smooth. You need to be smooth. So you're talking about kind of protecting yourself on the...
You need to be smooth, actually, to recover good, to attack the climbs. And that's why you need to be with the flow. You need to recover good for attacking all the courses. So it's very important to be smooth.
Okay, be smooth. That's the moral of this conversation, but...
It costs a lot of energy to ride on a terrain like this with all the routes. To find a good rhythm, it's really difficult. So the bike has to be in a perfect condition, but also the body, the rider, and the combination of it, that's how you ride smooth.
It seems right that the smoothest man in mountain biking is telling us all about this here, Bart Branchins. Now look, how smooth is Bjorn Riley, would you say, Bart?
He's another one to have a look at. Yeah, he's a youngster as well, and maybe in for a good win. He used to ride on a terrain like that, did good well here before, so he might be in for a good race too.
4th in the short track. Tell us a bit more about the course. You've been out there today, Martin.
I've been out there here in the morning. We did 2 laps. It's still a little bit rainy maybe, but in the morning it was completely almost dry, so it's a little bit tricky, but I think it's gonna be a really fast course, and yeah, I think it's gonna be fast.
It's going to be fast. That's what everybody wants to hear, right? Because so there's a little bit of mud, but not so much because the rain yesterday was not.
There's actually no mud. The woods are a little bit slippery, but the riders are going so fast. They clean a little bit the track now, so I think it's gonna be dry and fast.
Okay, so
I hope it doesn't rain, but if it rains, it gets very different. But actually now it's perfect track. Yeah.
This was like yesterday, wasn't it, Bart? We spent the whole time looking at it with the dust, and then suddenly
the rain starts.
Yeah.
But the weather forecast for this afternoon, it's dry, and with the rain from last night, actually, the course became a little bit better and a little bit faster.
Okay, and so of course this is the question, is how people can deal with this changing atmosphere best, right? That's what it's a lot of it about. Because when we were talking yesterday about how Lukas Schwarzbach, for example, didn't change his tactics when the race changed, right?
Yeah,
how important is that?
I mean, in short track, you don't have to change the tires that quickly. The course is most of the time similar to dry or rainy conditions. Of course, the corners become a bit more slippery, but now the riders have been riding on this course in dry conditions, and they know what kind of tires, what kind of tire pressure, what kind of setup, suspension setup they need to have. And they are ready for a good race. They're ready for a full speed, give everything they have.
Lovely stuff. We're about to get to the race, but we just want to take one moment, Martin, to look at the predictions that the team have been making. Our predictions, I'm afraid, have not been so good so far. Apart from, how did you get on yesterday? Here's the predictions we've gone for today. What have you picked up? Oh, you went, of course, for Oliver Savoy. I'm in with Adrian Bourkis. Your prediction now is Carter Woods. Okay, so we're going to try and do better than we did yesterday, but
short track predictions for short track, it's so difficult. But
so difficult. This is easier, right?
Easier, I wouldn't say.
But we need to get you off now to the commentary booth. So I'm sorry to cut in. I'm sorry to have to lose you, Martin. Thank you so much for the catching up. We'll have you back later. But for now, let's get to Rick McLaughlin for the race.
A big rider with a big future ahead of him. Rick Dahl there from KMC Racing Team. Mattis Guay from the KTM Factory MTV team in France. KTM here in a big presence for the Czech Republic. They mean business. Dario Lilu from Switzerland. South Tyrolean. Can't complain, says Bjorn Riley, one of the emerging stars of US cross country. An artist in his spare time, definitely worth a follow on Instagram. Solvoy from Denmark, he played a key part in that short track race, got on the podium as a result. Definitely one to watch here, likes the place a lot. Riley Amos then, Trek Factory Racing. There he is then, Washi, winner off the short track.
Good luck today, buddy.
Certainly somebody that has set this particular corner of the Czech Republic alight. Fancies maybe doing it again this evening. Well, as there is confirmation of your first 8 on the grid, I am joined in the booth by the original, and some would say still the best, Bart Brenchens. Bart, another exciting season of under-23 racing ahead of us.
Yeah, especially this category, under-23, is always a very nice category to watch. The youngsters.
And for team managers like yourself, an interesting proposition.
Yeah, and it's also good that, now that for these guys, more visibility as well. I like that.
A chance to make your name on the big stage, and there's none bigger than the UCI Mountain Bike Cross Country Olympic World Cup. And here we go, business time. The tape is removed. And it's almost time for the nerves to stop. And who is going to lead them up this first climb? And they are off. They are racing here in the Czech Republic. Bjorn Riley with a great start.
So 2 start laps and 5 laps riders have to do.
So Bart, just explain to new viewers then the purpose of these start laps is to try and thin the herd out a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, that's to spread out the field a little bit. And as you can see here, over there in the first corner, the left-hander, high speed. Sasha Udima in the green kit.
Riley Amos going well for Track Factory Racing out front as well.
But also, yeah, they try to have an exact race time in total. So that's why they do 2 start laps plus 5 full laps.
We are being treated to some onboard camera work as well today.
A nice shot this, and you see how hectic it is.
From Corin
how fast it goes.
Corin Carrick Anderson from the UK, very kindly offering his services as a camera vehicle for this one.
So many riders in the 23-man category.
What's the key to a good first start, Luke Bart? Is it just making some space for yourself, being safe?
Yeah, try to be in a good position. These riders know as well. If most of the start lap is done, it has a few bottlenecks, it has a few narrow sections, single tracks. And over there, overtaking is impossible, so the riders have to be in a good position over there. And where they are right now, that's still the start lap. It's not a part of the cross-country, the original course. So actually, when they're entering the first tech feed zone, actually it's only tech zone over there this year. From there on, it's the original course.
And here we go, we jump on board our cable cam as they head down through the first start loop. Just a reminder then, 2 start loops, doing the 23 men.
And here you can see as well on the right side, actually that's the original course in between the tape. So this is only for the start lap. The 2 start laps what the riders have to do.
I think one of the start loops would probably be enough for me, Bart. I think that would probably finish me off.
This course, it's quite hard to ride. It's very steep climbs, technical terrain, a lot of roots everywhere.
Yeah.
Full suspension bikes, dropper seat post. Yeah, a lot of technology in the bikes these days as well.
And without belittling anyone as well, we should be guaranteed fireworks today because the under-23 races, they can be quite punchy, can't they? These young guys, they want to make a name for themselves, and quickly.
Their lap times are, almost similar to the man elite, actually.
Really?
Of course, it depends also the conditions. Maybe the conditions today are even a little bit better than tomorrow. They expect some rain for tomorrow, so then it makes the course more slippery and slower as well. But yeah, in general, if the conditions are almost similar, the lap times of these guys, especially in the first few laps, are almost faster sometimes even than the man elite do.
Yeah, plenty of firepower out
so
on
over
course.
here, where they are right now, that's the tech zone, only tech zone this year. And you can see the staff members of the teams with all the spare parts.
If you're new to cross-country racing, the riders can get technical assistance from a member of their team staff, from the mechanics, but as a caveat to that, they can only do it in a designated tech zone. And what that means is if you get a puncture on the way into the tech zone, it's ideal you can get it fixed. If you get one on the way out of the tech zone, then you've got to go the whole lap.
Then you have a problem and lost a lot of time. That's not ideal.
It is not ideal, but it's...
for this year, actually, there's another tech feed zone here at the bottom around the arena, into the arena, just before the finish line. And over there, the riders can take nutrition as well. But for that, they have to take a special lane.
So almost like a pit lane, really, isn't it? They pull in through this little step section.
Lilo leading here. Oliver Solvay, second place.
Now you see they've got they've got a couple of options at the bottom of this descent to head up the next climb. Not much between them in terms of time, Bart.
No, sometimes they call it a B line, but actually here they are just 2 different lines, and riders they can choose both lines.
Will you mix that up during the race, or will you stick to one?
I would say stick to one, but sometimes there's too much traffic in front of you in one lane, then you will choose the other one, just to have some more space and a free lane to ride.
Listen to the noise back there, Bart. They love their racing here in the Czech Republic. The crowd comes out every time we're here.
It's such a great ambience all the time here next to the race. especially in the forest. It's great to see that.
As I said earlier in the broadcast, actually, this place has won event of the year 9 times, so it's not unfamiliar with a good crowd. And
Remember this point here, that's the highest point actually from the last climb. From there on, it's a long descent, the AC/DC part of the course, that's in it to the rock and roll. Actually, it's a long descent almost to the finish line. This is a little bit of a flat section just before the finish line, but there's a little bit of time to recover actually over here.
I mean, these guys are not out there to have fun, but I mean, I ran this earlier on in the week, and as a bike rider, you just want to go and ride this section. It is really enjoyable, isn't it?
It's an enjoyable course to ride, definitely it is. But it costs a lot of effort as well to ride on a course like this. I mean, the descents are also very technical, so you have to be concentrated all the time.
There's the big Dane out front.
Yeah, Oliver Solveig, that's the first rider.
We start to see some of the rocks now come into this NOVÉ MÉSTO
see the
course.
grandstand over there as well, with the fans.
Filling up nicely, they'll make their way over from the start line.
Oliver Solveig from Denmark, such a strong rider. Tom Schellekes, the Dutch guy, on the 4th place.
Solveig, not unlike Sam Gaze, actually, the way he just stands up on the bike and quite sort of upright.
Yeah, maybe to relax.
Oh, and a bit of style as well, why not?
Tom Schellekes didn't do short track last Thursday, so he saved some energy. But Solveig, he finished 3rd in the short track. Lilo, he was in the top 5, I think he was. He did quite okay. Dario Lilo from Swiss. And Rayleigh Amos in the 2nd place. 5th place for Dario Lilo, yes, on last Thursday's short track.
Here we go then, round this long left-hander on the 120-metre long start-finish straight. So if you've watched a bit of racing in NOVÉ MÉSTO before, the track actually going in a different direction on the start-finish straight. Famous for producing sprint finishes, this place, but they've only 120 metres to launch from, which didn't seem to stop the short track racers in terms of a runway. Plenty long enough for them.
So another time, a start loop.
Pack of 4 out front now.
7 minutes, 10 seconds, the first time. Yeah, the course is actually it's in perfect conditions after the rain from last night.
Look at them, Bart. You can see here just how easy it can be to catch a rider in front and for it all to go very wrong very, very quickly. There's a look at the conditions. Bone dry out there despite the rain earlier.
Yeah, and here you see more in the back. Riders are struggling on sections like this. A lot of roots everywhere, and when the riders are that close together, it's almost impossible to have a good ride, actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes even with a small mistake with one of the riders in front of you, you have to get off the bike too.
So Solveig, Lilo, Amos and Schellekes, your top 4 there in that little group out front.
Yeah, coming back. Adrien Brachy is back as well. The winner from the short track.
I mentioned earlier, Bart, it was almost as if he surprised himself actually with that short track win. He didn't look like his first words were that it might take some time to compute what he'd actually managed to pull off there. Yeah, but he did a couple of road races, stage races as well. Did Cape Epic with Christopher Sauser. It makes him strong actually, and that's what he showed last Thursday. Christopher Sauser, of course, one of the living legends of cross-country racing, and by no means an easy teammate to live with on an event like the Cape Epic. Wilson from New Zealand in that leading group too. 5 different nationalities. Looks like the pack might just bring them back in here, Bart. Yeah, they're slowing down a little bit, especially on sections like this where it's wide and open. Carter Woods, Sasha Houdima over there. Rayleigh Amos in that group too. Bjorn Rayleigh, sorry. Again, that start lap different from the original lap. Tom Schellekes is now leading that leading group of 5. 6 riders now. Adrien Brachy in that group. Rayleigh Amos. Track Factory Racing. Amos, one of the many actual young talents from America starting to come through now, Bart. They're starting to machine them out now, the Americans, aren't they? That the momentum's definitely with them in terms of young riders.
It is, yeah. They have a,
You see, now
a big
this
group of strong riders.
This is where you can get problems in cross country. If one rider gets off in front of you, you've no option but jump off yourself. And those carbon fiber cross country racing shoes aren't really the ones for running up rocky escarpments.
Perfect for riding, but not for walking.
Not great, yeah. So if you're watching mountain
Not the
bike,
best ones.
not ideal, no, suboptimal. Yeah, if you're watching cross-country racing for the first time, they're very similar to road shoes that the riders wear, actually really stiff carbon fiber soled with cleats that allow you to clip on and off the pedals.
There's a little bit of,
there's a little bit of float from
walking
side to
options
side.
with these shoes, but the carbon sole definitely is very stiff.
You wouldn't head out for an all-day hike in them, though, would you? That's
Not at all.
Although I have been on bike rides that have felt like that.
Feet at the end. For sure. Tom Schellekes, Dario Lillo, Aurélie Amos, Nat Wilson, Solveig, and Adrien Bragi from France. And there's Luca Marque already.
Will they be getting some information from the team there, Bart, as well?
It is, yeah, but also the riders, they see each other on the climb like that. They are not that far out of each other, so very close together, these two groups, and probably they will come back together again.
Yeah.
But the speed is high, and especially if they go into the first full lap. Riders, they have even more climbs in front of them all the time. And the time in between these climbs, actually, to recover, it's almost nothing.
That is the big thing about this NOVÉ MÓSTO MORAVÓ track.
That's how it is.
The descents are good, the climbs are tough, and they keep coming at you.
Yeah, there's almost no rest in between. Here you can see that as well, how fast it is in these descents, and how tricky it is as well.
It keeps swinging at you as a track. There's very, very little places to recover.
So different options for the riders. Sasha Udima. Sasha is actually his nickname. His official name is Alexander. So when you see it on screen, probably it's Alexander, but they call him Sasha. Dario Lillo now leading. Expert climb 2, they call it. They changed it from last year.
Yeah, it's an absolute just punch in the ribs, this one. On board with Corin Carrick Anderson, of course, the son of Scottish downhill legend Crawford Carrick Anderson.
So this part is new from the course from last year. And it's a very hard section, very steep. And if you're on top of the climb, where you see the sign of 1 kilometer, it goes 180 degrees and
it accelerates straight down.
Accelerating.
You can see that
so steep
there is
down.
no rest for the wicked here. And this section, again, as I say, great fun to ride, but really technical. One wrong wheel here, you can see the amount of... One of the few places actually where there is a lot of line choice, but more line choice, more possibility for disaster as well, I guess.
Yeah, I've been watching the training of the riders over there, and yeah, I saw a couple of crashes even in training, so it's definitely a hard section over there.
Schellekes just manualing through one of those holes there, popping the bike up on its back wheel. BMX track maneuver.
That small bridge, very famous in the AC/DC section.
The riders making their way back down towards the Vysočina Arena.
Yeah, on part like this, dropper seat goes down, suspension full open, front and rear suspension. Yeah, big group. Luca Marque here, the French champion. Carter Woods, the Canadian champion.
They're pretty much back all together again, aren't they?
Yeah, a group of 10, even more. So interesting to watch this race.
So riders are on course. They've just finished their second start lap. What they have to be careful of now is how many matches they've burnt already, how much energy they've expended to get into that position. Now a lot of the players are up the front. They're tight, they're compact. They're being smart, they're being cagey, but right now they'll get into the woods, they'll get into the technical features. Now all those short, sharp, punchy efforts are really going to compound, they're really going to come into play. Now the race begins. So they've played their first card, they've made it through the start laps, no issues, no dramas. They've got a few short seconds here over these pretty sweet little jumps. Take a breath. This is one of the only chances of the entire course that they can recover. Have a breath, reassess, start their next plan of attack. Here we go.
So, let me see slow motion shots here. The riders making their way down the track. Interesting that you should say that. Bart actually went and checked out the new Cervelo full suspension bike in the pit just before this, and they've actually developed a system that they like to call the link lock, which they actually take the rear shock out of the bike and replace it.
Actually, I was wondering if it's a smart idea. I mean, these full suspensions bikes are made with a rear shock.
Yep.
And the shock absorbs a lot of strength from the frame into the shock.
Well, this is
and
what
I mean, and if you put something very rigid in it, I don't know if the carbon is strong enough, but probably Cervelo did the testing with that. I'm sure they did.
There's definitely people cleverer than me working at Cervelo, and they seem to think it was all
It's a
right.
clever idea from them how they did it.
It's a super clever idea from a bike brand that they're making their first real foray into mountain bike racing at the minute, having been, of course, a massive brand on the road with Jumbo-Visma and in cyclocross, Wout van Aert. Yeah,
But I think not every bike is ready to just replace that solid part instead of a shock into your rear shock.
Well, they've milled it out of alloy. Apparently the idea came from... Carter Woods has been down in the gravel, in the kitty litter.
And that's that first corner actually after the drops. We have seen that corner in short track as well.
That's where we saw Zoe Cuthbert absolutely detonate herself during the short track race.
She had a very hard crash over there.
Yeah, a crash so big it could still be going on now, actually. They reckon that the alloy one they've got in there, they took the idea from the plastic packaging that comes with full suspension frames before you put the shock in them. And they made one out of alloy. It worked. It weighs the same as a shock, and now for the next race they're talking about milling one out of titanium. So
even you can replace it maybe with carbon.
Yeah,
why not?
But they've tried it and they reckon it's not transmitting stress into the bearings of the full suspension design. So interesting that we haven't seen it before. But we jump on board now with the FPV drone down through the woods. There's the big Dane at the front, churning away. Oh, and who's this off, Bart?
Yeah, it's Alpecin rider. I think it's... I forgot his name. Sorry for that. And here the first time in the rock and roll downhill. A very technical part of this course.
Cross-country bikes, they run extremely low tire pressures. And whilst that's great for rolling resistance and energy retention, it's not great whenever you come into a load of big spiky rocks at high speed. Riley Amos out the front of this one still for Trek Factory Racing. Trek really have built a roster of stars across all the mountain biking formats for this season. Big names left, right and centre. You can see that super caliber bike. It's got the shock, I guess a suspension unit you'd almost call it, built into the top tube with what's called a flex stay. So no pivot at the rear end of the bike, just carbon fibre that flexes. And
yeah, the Alpecin rider must be Jente Michiels. Must be.
That was on the tip of my tongue as well, yeah. Here we see the really, really steep climb.
The leading group. A big group.
It's a big group, and it's a big
course
climb.
like this.
Making short work of it at the front. Riley Amos.
Yeah, Riley Amos showing his strength.
Yeah,
and this climb actually, it's so hard to ride.
It's so hard, and with a bit of water on it. I remember trying to do it one year, and the back wheel just wants to spin up on you at every possible.
But also these roots, they are disturbing actually your rhythm. Riders, they have to be, what Martin Vidauer said in the pre-show as well, have to be smooth on a course like this. So actually, yeah, it's so bumpy. It disturbs your rhythm all the time.
Martin Vidor, I think you could probably best describe him as the Archbishop of Smooth, actually. He's a fantastic rider to watch. Really enjoyed watching him during the short track. Rides like a downhiller.
He won the cross-country under 23 race here last year.
He won every round last year,
He won every round,
he?
Except Andorra.
Except
And
Andorra.
except Worlds.
And except Worlds. Let's not mention that to him. It's quite big.
Don't forget.
Yeah.
And here we see that rock and roll, the famous rock
you
garden.
can just see those rocks. Will take no prisoners. Riley and MÓSTO, still time for plenty of style. Great to see, but it's just how far the sport is. Not saying that you weren't a stylish rider in your day, Bart, but it's a different sport now, isn't it? The speed and the technical ability of these riders.
Yeah, different bikes as well. I mean, 29
bikes, it was
all
the
over the place. Most of my career was with 26-inch wheels.
Yeah. No 26-inch wheel bikes out there today. All 29ers just gapping through there.
And all full suspension bikes, drop-off seat post, where we have been talking about before as well. And also wider tires you see these days as well.
Yeah.
2.4 is almost common.
2.4 is common, yeah. And as I said,
and
they
a lot
run
of inserts as well that we have to talk about. So to protect snake bite.
Yeah, the inserts for these tires are kind of a bit, the best way to describe them is like a pool noodle, like a foam noodle you'd use at a swimming pool. And
it is.
You can get them inside the tires and it just prevents them from being burped or from losing air. But yeah, the cross-country bike's now so aggressive, so much fun to ride. And the speeds have gone up and up as a result. One of those last shots there, you saw a really good demonstration of just how many line choices were open to these riders. Some gapping, jumping from one route to another, others manualing through, and others just putting both wheels into it, letting the bike soak up the damage.
Dario Lillo leading. Rayleigh Amos behind him from the USA. And then Solvoy from the Denmark. Tom Schelkes on 4th place.
The mechanics there hoping for a quiet afternoon.
Here we see it again. Bjorn Rayleigh.
Bjorn Rayleigh. As I say, an artist in his spare time. Worth following him on social media for some of his artwork.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Coming back together, that leading group.
So Bart, will these riders, will they have things like gels and bars and stuff in their pockets? Is there any place you can actually get to that in NOVÉ, MÉSTO, MORAVÉ? It's such a rough course.
Yeah, there's a little bit of time around the arena on the asphalt, so the start-finish straight. But what I saw actually now, just before the start, some of the riders, they put their gels on their bike. And that's because probably normally they take it in the tech feed zone. But it costs a little bit of time if you're entering the feed zone at the bottom, that second feed zone just before the finish line, to take a gel. So what they did, or they take it with them into their pocket in the back of the jersey, or they taped it on the top tube of the bar of the bike.
Lillo off and running here.
Yeah, he made a small mistake, and it's really hard to get on your bike again and keep on riding again. So you see also these small mistakes, they will count at the end.
It's just
cost a lot of effort again, and here you see, yeah.
Oh, he was actually off.
Yeah. But that's because of the routes, slippery routes.
Yeah, nice. See, I wouldn't count that as a crash, Bart, because he never let go of the bike. My ones, I always let go of the bike.
It's not a real crash.
To it.
I think his front wheel slides away, and
that's just slipped away from him, didn't it?
Yep.
And you can see what we mean here. Just round that tree, and then you're straight into a technical descent.
Yep. Oliver Solveig.
Solveig, just a little bit of a gap now after that crash from Lillo.
Yeah.
That's a nice line.
You will see at the bottom the gap is even bigger.
So if you're
now a little bit of a gap for him at too close.
If you are tuning in later in the season for some World Cup downhill racing, line choice a key part of downhill especially, but mountain biking as a whole, where you try and draw the straightest or possibly the fastest line between the obstacles, between the trees, between the routes. Downhill, enduro, and the gravity disciplines, definitely somewhere where that art is practiced to the best. But the cross-country racers, as speeds have gone up as well, something that's become vitally important for them.
And these bridges are built for the spectators to get over the course.
Capacity crowd expected tomorrow, of course, for the elite level cross-country Olympic World Cup races.
Oliver Solveig from Denmark. Riley Amos behind him, and then we have a small gap.
Yeah, they're just... I wonder if they'll start to work together a wee bit here, Bart.
They might be. There is Dario Lillo. He made that little mistake, but it cost him a little bit of time. And if your strategy is now to take a gel or to take a bottle for Dario Lillo, it's impossible. You have to close that gap first.
You see that the leaders are both through the tech feed zone.
And now we have a group of 4 chasing hard to close that gap. Ah, these two.
There's a gel going in for the
taking
Dane.
the opportunity for a gel, like you said.
They can't get to it though.
They have to take the energy to them.
What will be in that then, Bart? Sort of caffeine, fast carbohydrate, sorry.
Actually, gels can have with or without caffeine. And especially when it comes down more to the last few laps, they will have a few gels with caffeine too. But it's actually fast sugars. You can call it like that, and they will take maybe 2 or 3 during the race, and probably even 1 just before the race. But also they have to drink their electrolytes or their energy drink, and that's mostly in the bottles.
And I take it that'll all be like pre-planned before the race.
Yeah, it's a real race plan, what they have in mind, what they discuss with the coaches, with the masters, and most of the time the bottles are numbered as well. They will take it in the 2nd or the 4th round lap. So that's definitely a strategy what they make before the race.
It's a fascinating sport in terms of hydration and nutrition. They work out exactly how much liquid they will need throughout a race, and the bottles are then measured out scientifically.
I mean, the bottles are not completely full. They're most of the time just 200 milliliters of drink in it, not more than that. It's all weight what they add to the bike, but I don't like to have.
It's all weight, cross-country racing.
Blackmore, the number 23 on his bike, he's in that group too.
Now Blackmore, a GB Academy rider, got some good results lately. A podium in Germany in the XCO a few weeks ago. Second behind Cam Mason in the cyclocross. He beat him at Morgan Park actually as well. So I mean, if you're beating the likes of Cam Mason, you definitely know how to pedal.
Peter Blackmore, have a look at him. Riley Amos Track Factory Racing Team.
Amos looks in good shape this season, Bardet.
Yep, really strong. Dario Lillo behind him.
You can see just that carpet of roots. Now these bikes, a lot of them will have a lever on the handlebar that will allow the racers to toggle through different suspension settings, different levels of lockout, to tackle things like that, to make climbing that little bit more efficient. And that's something that we've really seen go from being a couple of brands, Bart, to most brands offering that now.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time the level on their handlebar, it is like a trail mode or like a full open mode. But also on paths like this, they are or full open or like in the trail mode, so that there's still a little bit of suspension, but definitely it's not completely locked.
Zoe Cuthbert, actually, one of the things she pinned that crash on in the short track was the fact that she was so busy getting the hole shot, getting off the line first, that she forgot to unlock her suspension into that first corner, which I think is completely understandable given the speed she was doing.
Yeah, I saw the footage of that crash, but it was actually amazing that she didn't hurt herself that bad, because it was awful.
She was up before the last rider had passed her as well.
Yeah.
Here we go in through the rocks. Look at Riley Amos charging through there.
So fast over there.
Just a little drop off the last one as well. Just takes all the rocks out of the equation.
Tom Skellick is on 5th place.
It's a different skill set as well. If you do have an enduro bike at home or a downhill bike and the handlebars are that bit taller, on these cross-country bikes, they have the handlebars so low now, Bart. Little things like that, picking them up off the ground, tricky.
Yeah, I mean, there's a combination of suspension, but also weight of the bike, aerodynamic is important actually too. Maybe not that much in mountain biking, but still, compared to an enduro bike where you only ride down most of the time. Here in cross country, you need to go also on the fast on the steep climbs.
Yeah, they are all about attack these cross-country bikes. The seat angle, the head angle, everything's pushed forward to get you transferring power into the ground as well as you can as we jump on board. with Karen Carrick Anderson.
This is the vision of every rider, what they see.
Through the trees there, nice little line.
A new line.
He's giving these lines away by putting that camera on his bike.
A group of 3 now, a small gap. Dario Lilo, Willy Amos, Oliver Solveig from Denmark on the 3rd place. And then we have a group of 4, 5 fighting to close that gap.
There we go, Wilson in 4th, Budima 5th, Chelikins in 6th, Blackmore 7th.
This is Luca Martin, the French champion.
Boishy, you see there the winner of the short track.
Yeah, he dropped back a little bit.
You can see the Canadian jersey of Carter Woods down at the base of the climb now as well. Lost some time on that crash.
Yeah, that crash definitely cost him a little bit of time, and also maybe he hurt himself. It's never a good sign if you ever crash. It always costs some energy.
You can see just how soft the tires are there, actually. This
if you're talking about PSI, I would say between 15 and 20.
As low as that, yeah.
1.1, 1.4.
We're going to see this little gap here.
In the rear, a little bit more pressure compared to the front tire.
And is that just to make sure that the power goes into it and you get up the hill?
Yeah.
Yeah. So super low pressures.
And that's why they have an insert into, at least in the rear wheel, rear tire.
There's that little gap as well under the backside of that route. Yeah, so cross-country racing, really, they don't really tend to touch, I asked a couple of the mechanics earlier this week and they were explaining that they don't really tend to touch suspension pressures that much. It tends to be tire pressure, depending if it's raining or if it's dry. That's what they'll go up and down with. And it would need to be an extremely wet, muddy race for them to go to a full mud tire, because the drag of those taller side, the knobs in the tire, the added drag isn't worth the loss in performance.
That's how it is, yeah. And also here in NOVÉ MÉSTO MORAVÉ, actually the course stays quite good, even if there's a little bit of rain. Of course, the routes get more slippery, but not most of the time not that muddy, even if there's a little bit of rain. Now, we had some rain last night, and this morning the course was a little bit slippery. The routes were slippery, but still there was almost no mud on the bikes, on the jerseys.
It is an incredibly resilient place, NOVÉ MÉSTO MORAVÉ, in terms of how it's affected by moisture. I've covered a couple of mud races here in my time, but it really takes a lot of rain to get a muddy race, doesn't it? It's so dry in those woods.
But I remember a couple of years ago we had some muddy, we had a muddy race here in NOVÉ MÉSTO.
There we go, you can see how dry it is through the woods. So, chainring-wise, most of the riders going for around about a 36 tooth chainring. I think for short tracks, some might go up to a 38, but
40.
40.
40 we saw.
40.
40 we saw. But these days, SRAM came up with a new drivetrain system, so 52.
52 on the rear.
In the rear.
Yeah.
So I think even like Nino Schurter tomorrow, probably with a 38 chainring.
38 chainring.
That's what I think.
If I had a 38 on my bike, you'd think I was going for some kind of land speed record attempt, but we see down into these double track then at the bottom, the A and B lines. As Bart says, not really that much to pick between them in terms of time on the climb. There's Blackmore.
Yeah, good ride
You can
for
see
him.
him just popping the seat up. That Cannondale, lovely looking bike.
The Dario Lilo is pushing hard together with Willy Amos just behind him. Oliver Solveig, that different line. And now coming together again. And from here, actually, it's about 75 meters more climbing compared to the course from last year, but very, very steep.
They have added some climbing to the back end of this course, haven't they? They've sort of made it punchier again. It got further and further down for a number of years, but
but now they brought it back.
Yeah.
Better for the climbers.
There is our drone. Bart's controlling that with his phone beside me here.
Hopefully I don't crash into the trees.
It's not the trees I'm worried about. And here they go back down this descent.
Yeah, and a lot of things to do for these guys if they turn, actually, to make that turn from the steep climb to the steep descent. unlock the suspension, shifting, drop our seat post down, everything on the same time.
I remember talking to Matthias Flukiger actually whenever they brought that suspension lockout really became prevalent in cross country, and I said, how many times a lap are you using it? Not that much. And he went, well, I thought not that much either, but we actually mounted a camera to the handlebar, and I was using it between 30 and 40 times a lap, which is a lot, isn't it?
But also these days, most of the teams, they go on the course with telemetry, so it measures the whole suspension setup for the bikes. And I spoke with our mechanic. He said the suspension is working 34,000 times at each lap. 34,000 times.
I'm glad you didn't ask me to guess that. I would have got nowhere near it, but that is remarkable. Like, it just goes to show, Bart, the level that mountain bike racing is at now. Suspension telemetry has come into it, and
yeah, it's like Formula One these days.
I know from the downhill pre-season testing event that we had in Lourdes earlier on this year, the amount of telemetry and data acquisition that was going on there with the top teams, you're heading towards MotoGP level.
Three laps to go. The riders are now into the meat of the race. This is the crucial part. After these fun little jumps here, as fun as they are, this next corner into the finish area is quite slippery, rather treacherous. When your concentration goes, you're a little bit tired. This can cause havoc. Now, there is quite a defined line through the middle of the track, but just inches outside of that line is loose, slippery rubble. And right here at this point in the race, if you slap the dirt here, it's over. It's hard to come back from this. The adrenaline's high, everything's pumping. It's a physical part of the race. So this is the real key part. You'll see riders attack now. You'll see riders explode. We're going to see some fireworks here. Eager to see it.
So here they are at the base of this climb then. Bart, is cross-country racing, is it similar to road racing for viewers who are maybe tuning in for the first time? Will these riders work together to try and gap away from the rest of them, or is it every man for himself?
They will work together a little bit. Of course, tactics definitely are involved in mountain biking too. But it's different from the road. You see not that many team members together. Here, 3 different riders, 3 different teams. But at least they will try and work together as well. They know if we can stay away of the chasing group of 4.
That's 2 riders to beat, not 5 riders to beat.
Yeah, no, and maybe there's a very fast sprinter in the chasing group. Riders, they know from each other better than we do. But definitely they will help each other and try to do that you are at least one of them on the podium.
We sat down and interviewed Nino Schurter earlier in the week, an interview that you can see more of in tomorrow's coverage of the elite race. And he said that's one of the big benefits of his experience in the elite class is that he knows all these racers. He knows what their strengths are. He can sit in the pack, he looks around him, he knows who he's racing, and that comes with time.
And if you have a strong weapon for, like example, a sprint finish, then you always can use it at the end. So you don't have to be that nervous to get away, or you have to attack. So you can save a little bit of energy for a sprint.
Bart, we should just say as well, a big happy birthday to Nino Schurter.
Yeah.
It's his birthday
37.
today. 37.
Congratulations, Nino.
Congratulations, Nino. Now, you gave me a bit of information about this earlier on. What age were you when you won bronze?
I was 36 years old.
36
I turned
years old.
37 in the end of the year.
And Ned Overend, is he still the oldest to have won a World Cup?
He's the oldest World Cup winner.
Right.
On the age of 38 and a bit.
38 and a bit, right. You're saying that my time has passed now then? I'm unlikely to win one now at 38.
There's still time for that.
I don't know. It would have to be a pretty busy few months for me to win one. But anyway, let's get back to it. 15 seconds, the gap as we watch the back of the pack coming down through that stepped section. Really good fun to ride this as well.
Oh, that goes almost raw. Rear tire off.
Rear tire off there. He's done well to get that stopped, actually.
Yeah. But from there, it's a long way to the tech zone. And he's doing the whole AC/DC descent to the tech zone. That's a long way. He will lost a lot of time with that. And you could see there was no noodle inside.
There was no pull noodle in there, no. There was no...
insert.
Insert.
Noodle. Yeah, how you call it. We call it noodle.
Yeah, we call it a noodle, yeah. Nice bit of style from Blackmore. There's a crowd. They've all got camera phones. You've got to throw a bit on, haven't you?
They're having fun on their bikes.
I love the paint job on that Trinity Racing Specialized.
I would say, this bike.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. The Trinity
and you
Racing
can see the drivetrain as well. New drivetrain over there.
Yep.
Stylish.
It's a great looking bike, isn't it? Trinity always go the extra mile with their kits and liveries.
Trinity team. And back together again.
Back together again.
The top 3 with the chasing group of 4.
On lap 5 now of 7.
Alexander Houdima, who's closing that gap.
Lelu looking strong at the front of this one, Bart.
Yeah, he's pushing a lot of effort into the race. Oliver Solveig close to him on his wheel. It must be a recording shot what we saw when the chasing group was closing that gap, because now...
Well, maybe they have just gone a wee bit.
And now there's a little bit of a gap. Tom Schelkes leading that chasing group. Sasha Houdima behind him. Wilson, Blackmore. Luca Martin, and there, Rayleigh Amos. He has a
Rayleigh Amos.
He must be a technical, I guess, a flat tire. It must be happening that rocky descent, the rock garden, as they call it here. Yeah, these riders, they're going so fast in the descent. Yeah, it's sometimes quite dangerous. Dangerous for the material, for the tires, for the bikes. Tom Schelkes with Sasha Houdima. Blackmore with the number 2 on his back.
Here we see
it. A burp tire, I would say, in that corner.
Yeah, maybe just enough. Good. Sometimes you can just, when we see burp a tire, you just make it leave the rim slightly when it just releases a bit of air, and it can just go flat. And as I said,
there's coming so much force actually on these tires in these berms, the way how they are riding. It's more like, it's similar to downhill, so they have to run higher tire pressure to avoid these things. So just 2 liters left.
What a shame for Rayleigh Amos.
Yeah, it's a shame for him.
I did think we hadn't seen him for a while. I thought maybe he was just sitting back in that group behind him, but he'll be in free fall now.
And he will lost so much time. Schelkes, Tom Schelkes on 3rd place now. Sasha Houdima on 4th.
Then there were 2 out the front.
Yep. That's how it goes in mountain biking sometimes.
We've seen Lillo off the bike on one of the climbs, Bart, but
here we see it again. The tire came off.
You can see the white liquid inside the tire. It's a silicone sealant to plug any puncture holes, but it doesn't help hold the rim on.
Rayleigh Amos, he has to run that whole hard climb in the middle of this race.
Yeah, the Trek Factory Racing Squad on Pirelli this season as well, across the board in downhill and cross country and enduro.
This is the tech zone where Rayleigh Amos has to be to change his rear wheel. It's not that far anymore for him, but still.
Yeah, it'll feel pretty far. We saw Nino Schurter with one of the comeback rides of all comeback rides here last time out, Bart.
Yeah,
similar problem. And he rejoined the front of the race, but
he did one of his best races actually.
It was one of the best performances I've seen from him.
Performances, yes, that's the word.
Yeah, I think it made him angry. I think that's where it came from.
It gives you the adrenaline, what you need to have. Oliver Solveig from Denmark with Dario Lillo.
Lillo's good for the descents part.
Yeah, different lines for both. Dario Lillo, he made that mistake in that inside line in the previous lap, so now the outside line for him.
It's a healthy gap back to Schelkes now, isn't it? I'm looking forward to seeing the next time split.
Blackmore. Wilson on the 5th place.
Here are the leaders then. 44 minutes into it on lap 5. What are you looking for, Bart? If you're racing somebody that closely for that long, it's just the two of you, are you looking for signs of weakness, little line choices not going well?
Yeah, you don't know if one of them is very strong in a sprint finish. Maybe they're looking for that. But of course, also, they have to find out and testing each other on the climbs, on the different parts of the course. Maybe in the descents, they have to try and put pressure on each other. And we see now as well, now it's Solveig again who is leading with a small gap. So definitely they will testing each other and try to get away.
Well,
instead of sprinting against each other.
Last night's winner in the short track, Tom Pidcock, did say after the race that he always knew that it was going to be a question of who led onto the start-finish straight first. Made that move early on, got into the last turn first, and then just let the blue touch paper. But
I think Sam Gaze, he was actually convinced if he should have been in Pidcock's wheel in the last corner, he could have beat him. That's what he said in his interview. So it's not the same for everyone.
It's not the same for everyone. And granted, one of those people is Tom Pidcock, which kind of, if you've got his levels of talent, I kind of think a win is always on. If you haven't seen the short track from yesterday evening, go and check out just what a performance Tom Pidcock put on. Stone last across the start-finish line after lap 1 and just quietly picked them off.
No stress at all.
Absolutely no stress.
First few laps for him.
Said in his interview he'd been out for a 3.5-hour training ride beforehand.
I heard he had a call from his coach that he was in the short track, so he had to turn around to get back to the hotel and to change himself and prepare for the short track in the evening.
Absolute animal of a rider, Tom Pidcock. Really just in fine
and here we see
form.
Oliver Solveig taking that feed zone lane.
Yeah, let's see how much it's cost.
That's the only lane where you can take your bottles, your gels, and he took a gel and probably also a bottle.
It's a couple of bike lengths there, Bart.
Yeah, it goes a little bit of time. And now you see Dario Lewis keep on pushing, why not?
Here we go.
The strategies.
Lap 6 then begins. In the penultimate lap.
A little bit of a gap. A few seconds. Another problem for Oliver Solveig.
Oliver Solveig. Just taking over the big diesel engine at the minute.
He had a good earlier season.
Here is that time gap. Let's see what the lead currently stands at then. 27 seconds back to the Ukrainian. Hudima, Shalikins in 4th.
Sasha Hudima riding for the KMC mountain bike racing team.
It's rolled off the tip of the tongue there. Bart Brent is, of course, the team manager of that particular team. But
so I'm proud to see him doing so well today.
What's his strengths as a rider, Bart? Where does he really shine?
He's still very young, European champion junior 2 years ago. He didn't have his best season last year. He was struggling with some breathing problems. And as a team, we tried to find out what it was, but it wasn't not that easy to find out. Of course, the war, it started last year. It was February, March last year as well. So we were thinking about some mental problems as well. But luckily, he found his energy back in the off-season. And he already did a good start of the season. And he's a very talented rider. And luckily, he showed it today again.
Going very, very well. Of course, Ukraine's produced some absolutely stellar cross-country riders in the past.
But you see this right now, after the change of the lanes from the tech feed zone actually, against that fast lane Dario Lilo took, the gap is still there, these few seconds.
Yeah, he can't seem to pull it back in, can he?
So he took the opportunity to get away, and it seems to be that it's working so far. Dario Lilo from Switzerland. Steep climb over here. There's a little bit time to recover. And after that, actually, there's that expert climb one.
That little expert climb is really tricky. I remember having
really
to ride
tricky,
it.
and here it is. Luckily, it's dry now, so...
It's dry, but these rocks in the middle, where Lilo is just to the left of him, they're so shiny and slick from all the years.
Just with a little bit of rain, actually, we were riding this morning, and we tried to get up over there too, but it was almost impossible to make it. So the chasing group of 4. With Tom Schelk is in it, Sasha Hodima in it, Matthew Wilson and Blackmore, Peter Blackmore. And that gap is still there, entering the rock and roll.
Here we go, you see the speed they're traveling at through these rocks off that last step.
Flying over these rocks.
Lilo's not looking back here, Bart, you know.
Oh, he's pushing hard, Dario Lilo. A very flowy section, this, where he is right now. High speed cornering.
On that Scott Spark RC bike. As designed, developed, tested, won on pretty much everything by Nino Schurter over the years.
This is Dario Lilo. Yeah, pushing hard. Try to get away. And now into that
flowy
big
rock
climb
section,
in front of him.
The flowy rock section leads you on the bottom of that climb.
The gap is not that big, especially not here on a climb like this. Low speed now on this part of the course. Riders are trying to avoid every route. Trying to find a smooth line. Actually, there's no smooth line.
No smooth lines up here. An absolute carpet of routes lining this climb. Has Lilo gone for the fingerless gloves, Bart? You never really see them as much these days, the mitts.
No, it's
a throwback to your day, that.
Well, he had also some, actually here Tom Schelk, he's without gloves. Actually, when I was young, I couldn't ride with gloves either.
Really?
No, I was without gloves.
Yeah.
Now I can't ride without anymore. Now it's better to have long finger gloves these days.
Yeah,
it protects your hands, more grip. But also, if you have a crash, it protects your hands as well, which is really important.
They make them so lightweight now. All the kit these days is so lightweight.
Yeah. Even in summertime, I don't bother at all to wear long finger gloves.
Luca Martin there.
Over here, factory team, new team this year.
Yeah, great one is if you're of fairer complexion, like myself, you put the sun cream on before the ride, you don't put gloves on, your hands start to get sweaty, then they're covered in oil, then your grips are covered in oil, then it's an absolute disaster waiting to happen. But
what happened now?
He has got past him.
Yeah, how did he do it? Where did he do it?
We didn't see it happen off screen.
The Danish, Oliver.
I kind of still think that Solvoy looks like he's taken over here, Bart. He must have had a big push to get past Lilo, unless Lilo's had a problem somewhere.
That might be possible too, because looks like he's riding away from him. He might have a little bit of a problem.
If there's a slow puncture or something.
Yeah, that might be possible.
Yeah.
But soon he will entering the tech zone.
Well, we'll see if he does pull over in the tech zone.
Yes, you're right. Rear wheel is soft. You see it's sliding. It's sliding all the time.
Such a shame.
He has an insert in it, and he can still ride.
Yeah, there's a difference with the inserts.
But not.
No, maybe not. Let's have a look.
Looks like that.
Well, we just peeled away from that. Let's see if he pulls in.
We'll know soon. Oliver Solveig.
Straight through there, no looking back.
Leading the race now. No.
No. It's a quick glance over the shoulder from Solvoy there as well. 39 seconds back to the Ukrainian.
Sasha Hodima with Tom Schelk. Matthew Wilson on 5th place. Alexander Hudima, his official name.
Now, where is Lilo? He's still there. I wonder if he just had a little moment off camera, Bart, maybe somewhere, and just lost the wheel. We did see it earlier on the race. He did lose the front end, slid out. I said it wasn't a crash because he never let go of the bike, so we'll see. He's certainly going down there fast enough.
These guys are pushing really hard.
They are, aren't they? This is it now, starting to wind up.
For both the same line here at the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to say actually which line is faster. Tom Schellicus with Sasha Hudima now closely together.
They're a second group of two then, gunning it out for the last spot on the podium.
Yeah, also this group is stretching out. Yeah, last spot on the podium.
Yeah.
True. A top 3. Top 5 in the elite category. Look, I'm up there, a little bit further down, but not that far off.
No, the reigning French national champion, as you can see from the French jersey. The trickle there.
And now a little bit time for Oliver Silve to relax. To relax in this descent. Nice line. The speed, you can see.
Now, Bart, we did see some incredible scenes on Eurosport yesterday with Alberto Contador going wild in the commentary booth and his rider won a stage in the Giro. Are we going to see the same again if Sasha gets on the podium? I could go crazy in here. Start throwing the computer around.
Maybe.
Maybe, we'll see. Absolutely perfect conditions in the woods here in the Viso.
I think a little bit more must happen.
A little bit more is going to take a bit of spot. #1 spot for that to happen for Bart to really.
But the podium would be really nice.
To really let loose. You can see the new course.
He already does a really nice, a good race. I mean, first cross-country Olympic for these men under 23 this year. First World Cup.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they show their strength, they show their form. And he's in a great shape.
Is this a big one to settle in nerves, Bart, as well? You've got that long off-season of prep and of training and all the rides, all the hours on the road to get here.
They have done some races, but never a race where they have been all together.
Yeah.
And Martin Vidal already said it as well in the pre-show. Yeah, who's your favorite? And he said, yeah, it's hard to say. They all can win the race, and that's actually how it is.
We certainly saw on the short track yesterday evening that it felt like anyone in the top 10 of either race.
Yeah, and especially, I think especially short track racing is even more difficult to predict. But cross country, yeah, Oliver Silve, we know that he did quite well in the earlier season.
Well, the Dane has decided that he doesn't need any more gels, he doesn't need any more liquids. It's time to get on with the job in hand here.
Yeah.
Just dropping down into a slightly more efficient aero position. Last lap. Whatever you have left in the tank, it's time to use it. You need to bring her back on fumes in this one. Lilo.
They're giving everything they have. Just a few seconds in between. Last lap for these two. Oliver Silve and Dario Lilo from Switzerland.
Yep.
Nothing in between these two.
Got past Lilo somewhere halfway around the last lap. Having really struggled to bridge the gap to him. He's managed to get by him just off camera. And now up this climb.
Actually, these guys are on the same bike.
Scott. Both Scott Spark RCs.
Is he able to close that gap? It looks like that with this shot.
It does look like he's coming back to him a little bit. Of course, it can be a bit deceiving, the concertina effect, but...
And what happened behind them?
This is it. I think these two are going to come back together now, Bart.
Yeah, but the gap is still there. Not waiting at all. Coming together. Dario Lilo.
Don't forget to
Oliver
stay.
Silve.
Don't forget to stay right here for the under-23 women's race. Coming directly after this one.
At 5 o'clock they start.
And that will be fireworks as well. But for now, we are concentrating on the men. And these two really have been the class of the field. They've been out front for the whole thing.
They did a good race, both in short track last Thursday and now again in cross-country Olympic. The longer version, the longer discipline. Schelekes with Sasha Houdima and Matthew Wilson, the numbers 3, 4 and 5 in the race, chasing hard. Last lap for them too.
There's a Dane and a Swiss out front.
5 different nationalities in the top 5. Another chasing group is passing by.
Yeah, it's still passing by the booth now. Just clocked Adrian Boishy well back down the order now. Just come past onto the final lap as we speak. Gives you an idea of how hard these two have pushed out front.
Shimano Expert Climb 1.
So looking strong
No
up there, Bart.
mistakes for them. But very hard to make it here. No problems. But the gap is still there. Carefully in the descent, I would say, especially in the last lap.
Oliver just having a look over the shoulder there. Where is he?
Not that far off. Oh, he's suffering too, Solveig.
Yep. You can see it. Fascinating, Bart, how some racers can conceal that. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, you never know how hard she's working face-wise. She's just inscrutable. And
poker facing.
Poker facing. And you saw the likes of Zina Fry on the sprint last night, just giving it absolutely everything.
Yeah, it's different for each one. And maybe the opportunity over here to close that gap in the descent. I mean, it's just a few seconds in between these two.
Solveig still finding a bit of time for a bit of style there.
And then suddenly again, that big climb in front of them.
And then it's all over and it's straight back up the hill.
Even if you have the idea to give it all, to sprint up that mountain, your legs are sore. Pain in the body. They have to, last lap it is. Under the bridge.
Is there anything you can do to train for the race pace, though, Bart, for this kind of intensity of effort? There's nothing replicates it, is there?
No, there's nothing. That's how it is. But they are in the zone. They know what they do. They know why they do it. And it's a win in the World Cup. And they all like to have it. Out of the saddle for the last time here on this climb. Roots everywhere. And again, Dario Lilo. He's pushing hard, but on his saddle. Different style they have. Oh, look over his shoulder.
He's still there.
He's there.
He's still there. You're hoping each time you look over the shoulder, maybe he won't be there, but...
It's more like a long sprint, actually, this last lap. There's nothing in between these two. And again, look back over his shoulder. He's suffering.
He's suffering, but he's still got the pace of mind.
This climb, it looks like you are on the top, and it's not.
It's not.
And you still have to go a long while.
There's Schelekes.
Keeps on going. Schelekes now attacking. Sasha Dima is going with him. Schelekes riding for the Dutch national team here in MORAVÓ. Out of the saddle, really sprinting to the top. But Sasha Houdima is going with him. There's nothing in between these two either.
Matthew Wilson in amongst it too.
The last spot on the podium.
Yep, it's the business end of this one.
Oliver Solveig. Now the gap is a little bit better, bigger.
Solveig on his way down now. Where is Lillo? He has dropped Lillo again.
Yeah, a little bit, but he's not that far off.
I think Solveig has something in his pocket on that part of the course, Bar, because it's around now that we saw him get past him last time.
You're right with that. So that's his favorite part, probably. Here he is, second place.
If Lillo wants to win this, and he's got every right to, he needs to start closing this gap now, making some real inroads on the Dane. I don't know if it's there for him to do.
2 more climbs to do. This one, it's not the hardest, but the last one, after the Cannondale BMX section.
I think they're all pretty hard at this stage of the race, Bart.
They will
So
feel
they
every
still-
little climb.
And I just wonder, does that a little signal that he does have a little bit in reserve? The fact that
It
he's
is.
still mentally sharp enough to keep an eye on where his rival
He's
is.
carry on a lot of speed in that from that descent, and then in the first bit of the next climb, he's accelerating out of the saddle, sprinting, and then he's sitting down, pushing hard.
6 seconds, the gap.
There's nothing in between these two.
It's nothing, but at the same time, Lilo
Yeah, at the same time, yeah.
will want to close this. He'd rather that it was a lot closer. Gav Black there just shouting some encouragement.
Denmark against Switzerland. Out of the saddle now for Dario Lilo.
Of course, Switzerland. Switzerland's so dominant through the ranks here in cross-country mountain bike racing, but it's a Dane who leads this one.
Women and men.
Yep, the whole shooting match.
At the Olympics in Tokyo, the top 3 women, all Switzers.
Getting on the Swiss Olympic team is almost harder than winning a gold medal these
It is,
days.
yeah, that's true.
But one of their own is struggling a bit here. Lilo needs to find some answers, and he needs to find them quite quickly.
Nice style.
Yep.
Oliver Solveig from Denmark. Jumping here.
When do you start thinking, Bart? When do you start dreaming that this might be it, this might be the win? Can you allow yourself that luxury?
I mean, yeah, definitely he can, but he has to be concentrated. He has to keep on pushing. But maybe when he is at the top of this one, the last climb, from there on, actually, it's what I said before, a long, flowy descent, and then still a little bit of a flat in the arena, but not that much anymore. And he showed his strength already before, so he must be able to make it.
Solveig as well,
But
a big, strong sprinter.
Every mistake right now, that will cost him a lot of time. And also still, I mean, still that descent as well, the rock and roll, we have seen it before. Yeah, many dramas we have seen here in the last
some
descent.
disasters in there.
Yeah, everything can happen in mountain biking.
Stay where you are. Solveig's found a second. He's still looking over his shoulder. As we saw on the short track, a more than capable sprinter as well. So he'd back himself, I'm sure, if it came down to a final drag race on the 120-meter long start-finish straight. But he's also quietly hoping that he could just have 120 meters to start celebrating. Down into this dip, heads back into the woods.
The last time here in this descent, AC/DC, a small gap. And he's relaxing still.
Still looking.
Yeah, he knows exactly how big his gap is. Smooth on these sections.
2 quite long looks there. Maybe it's just starting to dawn on Oliver, but he needs to get these next couple of sections right. Nice little jump across that little road section there.
The rock and roll for the last time.
Just generating as much speed as possible from the track. Now, 8 seconds now. It goes up by a second again. He's shaking his head.
Oliver Solveig, here he is. Coming into the arena almost.
Telling himself to concentrate.
Another look over his shoulder.
The jacket, the jersey's getting zipped up, Bart.
Over the jumps.
Safely for the last time.
That's a great feeling for him, entering the arena on his own.
The work has all added up. It has been enough. All those hours in the gym, all those hours on the road bike, training by yourself. Lilo sprinting already, but is it going to be a lost cause?
He's coming close.
Oliver Solveig, has he judged this to absolute perfection? Starts to celebrate with the crowd. Oliver Solveig has done enough. The Dane looks over his shoulder one last time, gets up out of the saddle, turns it over one last time. Oliver Solveig wins the first UCI mountain bike cross-country Olympic under-23 race of 2023. Bart, a well-won race, that one.
Dario Lilo, second place. And here is Tom Schellekes for the third place.
Yep.
Sasha Udima a little bit further off on fourth.
Schellekes starts to beat the bars there in celebration, but it's not done yet. It soon will be, though.
A great performance for the Dutch guy. Sasha Odima on 4th place.
And here he comes, Shelikins. One of the big talents. In for 3rd place. Just ahead of Bart's rider, the Ukrainian. Bart, well deserved.
Yeah, well deserved for Sasha, 4th place. Really proud of him. Gerben de Knecht, the national coach from the Netherlands.
And there's Matthew Wilson over the line in 5th, the big Kiwi.
Yeah, great performance.
Yeah, superb performance,
New
actually.
Zealand. Luca Martin from France.
Martin looks happy with that one as well.
Yeah. Strong ride. Peter Blackmore from the UK. Small gaps.
Our very own Haley Edmonds tracking down the winner interview. Absolutely thrilling under 23 race that would love to see. And there is a sprint finish further back. Oh, just on clips there. The Thomas Maxson racing rider. Big smiles across the line for Luke Wiedmann. Carter Woods, what could have been? Giant factory racing rider. Plenty more races to come. Well, Bart's got his running shoes on. He's heading down to the post show. Well, we did think that it would be lively. It's never a dull race here in NOVÉ MÉSTO na MORAVÉ, and that one was certainly an absolute blinder. Savoy from Lillo, from Shelikins, from Hudima, from Wilson. That's your podium. Here are confirmation of those results then. The Dane takes the win. Lillo, Shelikins, Hudima, Wilson, Martin, Blackmore, Baton, Herzog, Wiedmann. Carter Woods in 11th. Adrian Boissy, winner of the short track, in 15th. And here is what it means. Turn up to the first UCI mountain bike cross country Olympic World Cup of the year. Cross the line with a win. Well, we've seen him crossing the line. Let's hear now from Haley Edmonds, who's with our winner.
I'm joined here by the race winner, Oliver Solhoy. What a performance from you. Your first World Cup win here in NOVÉ MÉSTO in the under-23s. How did it go for you?
Yeah, just incredible. I can, still come to my mind. Just flat out racing all day, so yeah, just a general good weekend for me, and yeah, just over the moon by this one.
It was a tough battle. You came further away from the pack, just the three of you with Dario as well and Riley. When Riley did have his puncher, what did you think? Were there any kind of reflections in your mind to maybe take it a little bit slower?
Yeah, just we were pushing out the expert climb, but then Riley made some mistake downhill, and that was the point for me, just taking a bit slower in the downhills and maybe putting a bit pressure on the uphills just to maybe make Dario make a mistake. But yeah, at that point it was quite scary. Yeah.
Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
There he is then. Oliver Solvoy, and we got Bart Brenchens here smiling brightly because that was his prediction. The prediction that Solvoy would manage to go ahead. Did you see him winning in such style though, Bart?
Yeah, he did a great performance. He showed his strength. I've seen a couple of races from him earlier this year, and it was my prediction, but it was just a great race to watch in general. Yeah, these guys, they went so fast. A lot of drama for a couple of riders. Really Amos, a shame with a flat tire. Sasha Hodima from my team, who finished fourth, actually was part of him.
Brilliant, yeah.
Another Dutch guy, Tom Schellikers on the third place. But the way how they were racing, also Dario Lillo and Solvoy, I would have to say, against these two, just a few seconds in between at the finish line. There was maybe just 1 or 2 seconds left. Yeah, such an exciting race to see.
It was such an exciting race.
I like it.
And Dario Lillo, of course, did so well and pushed him. We heard there Haley talking about the gap getting extended towards the end, but they really pushed each other, didn't they? And we saw actually in the race, and we got some footage of it, that Oliver decided to take on an energy gel just towards the end.
Yes, yeah.
And Lillo didn't.
Different strategies, and they need to have their energy. They have to need their sugars, their fast sugars, the energy, and it might affect the result at the end. That's how it is. Yeah, it's nice to see these things too.
Little details, you mean?
Yeah, little details with a great effect at the end.
Yeah, and the thing is, of course, so is that something you do instinctively in the moment, Bart, or would you make a plan in advance and say, okay, my plan is I'm going to try to do it?
You make a plan in advance, and it's not always that it will happen like that. But I think for Oliver Solvoy, he still had something left, and he was still good thinking, and he was quite clever, and it went perfect for him.
Yeah, he really did look as though he had something left. There's a little bit as well in the footage again of when he started to pull away. And what's going through your mind in a moment like that, Bart?
Yeah, when it went well, it gives you some extra strength, and that's how it happened for Oliver Solvoy. And they were both suffering actually on that climb. But when the gap was there, and he knows as well, with 1 lap to go, it's a little bit more than 10 minutes time. He could give everything he had, and these guys are well trained. And it wasn't impossible for Dario Lillo actually to close that gap anymore, even when it was just a few seconds.
Because he was broken by what had been going on for...
broken, and if you have the feeling that you can win a race, it gives you always something extra.
You could really start to see that at the end. You could really start to see that. And yeah, as you say, brilliant performance, but you get that additional bonus from knowing that you're nearly there. However, unbelievable flat-out racing for, what was it, over an hour. This is incredible stuff that these young men are putting their bodies through. Now, speaking of someone whose body got put through a lot, Carter Woods, who we spoke about in the build-up, in fact, ended up crashing quite early doors in the race, and we can hear from him now.
Carter Woods, rough way to start, but you had a great positioning prior. Tell us what happened up there.
Yeah, the plan was a conservative start, sort of how I rode when I won here 2 years ago, and I was right where I wanted to be, and I just stopped thinking for 2 seconds and front wheel over that berm, and it was rough.
Rough place to start. How was the head? Were you able to settle back into a rhythm there? Were you angry? Were you just taking a breath and calm as can be?
Yeah, there's no time to... You get flustered, but pick the bike up, make sure everything's looks okay. Obviously, you got so much adrenaline, you don't really feel anything. So you kind of get going, and yeah, halfway through the lap, you're like, oh, okay, it's starting to hurt, But I rode... I rode as well as I could, tried to snag some points for the overall, but it's disappointing not being able to show what I'm capable of. But
you had a big group there under the final lap. Did that explode? Did you have enough energy to attack up the end there, or how did that final lap go with such a big group around 10th?
Yeah, I've raced this track quite a bit, so just I sort of know where it tends to break apart on the last lap and where you need to go and where you can conserve. So yeah, I just waited until I saw the group was hurting, and just a little surge tends to kick them off the wheel, and then just steady to the finish.
Great recovery, well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Carter Woods there with Josh Carlson, sounding a little bit forlorn, wasn't he, Bart? But look, here is the final roundup. Here are the times and the finishing places. As you say, a few good little fights, not just at the very top of the order, but down into 4th, and then also Carter Woods finishing just outside of 10th there in 11th. We really thought he was someone who could deliver something today,
yeah,
but these things happen.
You have to be concentrated all the time, and just what he said, just a few seconds unconcentrated, and he slapped away with his front wheel in that first corner of the course. Yeah, it cost him a little bit of time, a crash, and it's still a good performance. Finished 11th, grabbed some points for the overall. And probably we will see more of him during the season.
We certainly will. And of course, a huge field out there today. Some of the guys right down the bottom, you could see them because you can see the finish line just behind us. We can see them crossing there, looking absolutely exhausted. And sometimes, but it's the people down the bottom as well who really give us a sense of how tough this course is.
This is a really hard course, but it's also a hard sport. Sometimes it doesn't matter on which course they are riding, but if the start is gone, they give everything they have till the finish, and that's what mountain biking is.
They certainly did, and someone who in particular gave everything he had, but it just wasn't quite enough is Dario Lillo, and he's with Haley now.
So Dario, second here in NOVÉ MÉSTO in cross-country Olympic under-23s. How would you assess your performance today?
Yeah, it was good. It was a really hard race. It's always hard here in NOVÉ MÉSTO. The track is quite physical. So yeah, and we were quite a big group at the front at the beginning of the race. And then yeah, we just the 3 guys were a little bit faster. We could open a gap. And yeah, then it was all-out sprinting till the end with Oliver. He was a bit faster than me. I had some problems in the last lap, but yeah, I think was a good performance from me today.
After your 5th place yesterday in cross-country in the short track, did that kind of give you a bit more motivation and maybe to kind of do better here today?
Yeah, it was special because it was the first time that we did a short track race before a World Cup. So like, yeah, it's new, and we had to adapt a little bit with everything. But yeah, I did some mistakes in the short track, but I felt that the performance was already there. So yeah, I just wanted to enjoy it today and try and see what's possible, and that's what I did.
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a good weekend actually for him, Dario Lillo, even if he doesn't cross the line in the...
No, definitely, yeah, very strong in short track and a good result today. And also a good confidence for him after these 2 great races on from Thursday and now again. So yeah, more from him to see in the future, for sure.
A lot to take away. And in 3rd as well, we wanted to speak about your fellow Dutchman.
Yeah, Tom Schellekens. I like to see him on the podium, even if yeah, my own teammate Sasha Udima, he beat him, but in a good way. And Tom had a lot of bad luck actually in the beginning of the season with some technical problems, but he worked really hard. I know him quite well. And it's great to see him for the first time on the 23 podium. And you could see him as well, and he was crossing the line, how happy he was. Big smile, and yeah, it's great to see that.
To finish in 3rd, yeah, you know you've made a brilliant achievement there. You could just have been outside of it. When you say you know him quite well then, the kind of training that he's been doing, is that what's impressed you?
Yeah, that's what impressed me. Yeah, he has been living in Spain for almost all the winter. So he spent a lot of time for that, and he's a very talented Dutch rider. And we need these guys in the Netherlands to lift the mountain bike sport, and he's one of them who does it.
You can't do it all single-handedly, but let's hear from him now.
Tom, 3rd place here in cross-country Olympic NOVÉ MÉSTO under-23s. Are you happy with your performance today?
Yeah, for sure. I'm very happy. I started a bit in the middle of the pack, and then I said to the coach, what should I do? Should I go full in the start lap and then look if I can go to the front? And it was possible, and then I was immediately in the front of the race, and then yeah, it's so much easier. But I'm very happy to take the 3rd place.
Because of course you had Alexandra snapping at your heels. I mean, how hard was it to keep him off?
Yeah, it was very hard. I did an attack on the root hill, but I can't get away. And then after that one, I attacked again, and then I had 3 seconds or something, and then he broke, and then it was all out to the finish. But I was happy to take the 3rd place.
Thank you very much, and well done.
Thank you.
You're right, he certainly was looking happy, wasn't he, there?
Yeah, and also he didn't do short track last Thursday, because he wasn't in the top 40, so even maybe he saved some energy, what most of the riders spent already on Thursday. So, yeah, just a few seconds in between him and Sasha Udima, but yeah, great performance of both, actually.
These little slivers of difference can make all the difference in a race like that, as competitive as the one we've just seen here. Speaking of competitive races, everybody, it's time to take a little look at our team predictions as a group. And Bart is smiling because he knows that he is top of the leaderboard. In fact, he is the only person who's managed to score any correct predictions, and it was, of course, in the race we just had. So you are winning with 1 point against everyone else's 0 points. I mean, if you can...
It's difficult. It's so difficult, the predictions, to make it well.
Yeah, to predict. Yeah, thank you. That's very kind of you.
Yeah.
Some more people who are feeling more cheerful, perhaps, than the rest of us in our team predictions situation here are those on the podium who we can see now collecting their laurels. And it's good to see all of these guys working together as well. I mean, and smiling and being friendly, even after that big moment.
That's what mountain biking is.
That's what mountain biking is.
They all have to do it by themselves, and they are contenders against each other, but also happy for each other.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we also need to let you know that there is, of course, plenty more mountain biking to come. We've got the women's under-23s race up in a moment, but there's also lots more sports coverage for you on Discovery Plus coming up later today. And here is Abby Stevens to tell us about it.
We're in the impressive PGE Narodowy Stadium, right in the heart of Warsaw, for what is the biggest speedway event on the calendar. Scott Nichols joins us. Scott, what makes this so special?
Oh man, there's going to be 50,000 people crammed into this stadium. They're noisy, they're excited, they're going to be very vocal. The racing is fast, it's close, and it's all encapsulated in this amazing stadium.
We cannot wait. Join us at 5:30 p.m. for all the build-up on Eurosport 2 and Discovery Plus.
Beautiful stuff. Well, yeah, do stick around and watch a bit of Speedway later on Discovery Plus, but we're going to be staying here in this beautiful track, this biathlon icon.